What's going on? Welcome to the fifth conversation with a new renaissance. I'm Manny, and this is Isaiah. And today we're going to talk about his brand, Undrtheson, and what he's building, and hopefully give you some inspiration to do your best work and maybe follow in his footsteps. But yeah, appreciate you joining, bro.
Yes, sir. Let's get it.
Yeah, 100%. So, for those who don't know you, who is Isaiah, and what are you building right now?
Um, Isaiah, I'm someone that's from Beaumont, Texas, small town southeast of Houston, Texas, going towards Louisiana. I like to call it like the armpit of Texas, just humid. There's really nothing going on, but grew up in Beaumont. Um, Went to school at a super small school and everything, then ended up finding my way out to Austin and now starting a clothing brand. So I guess that's a little bit about what I do, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. So, what got you into fashion and wanting to start a fashion brand?
Um, I grew up in like an environment where it was like, a lot of people wearing camouflage is like, obviously they went hunting and stuff, so it wasn't like a fashion statement. It was more so that was just like an everyday staple in the wardrobe back home. But so I kind of like put myself in a box when I was living, in that country town and everything, because like obviously you want to blend in, you want to make friends and everything. Um, and then after I kind of graduated, I started experimenting a little bit more, started buying things, getting into vintage thrifting, kind of finding like my style and everything through that. And yeah, I think I knew when I was a sophomore in high school is when I knew like I wanted to do a clothing brand. But so glad I didn't start it then because the idea was like almost on like some vineyard buying shit, bro.
Yeah,
Because that's what I was surrounded by. So it was like, so that's what I wanted to do. And then as I continued to get older, it was always something I had mentioned that I wanted to do. And then fast forward to now, I finally, acted on it. But I would say thrifting and just wanting to be a little bit different than like those around me is what kind of got me into fashion.
for sure, for sure. I was the same way. I had a clothing brand when I was in high school,
Hmm.
and then I just kind of like was doing basic ass shit, just
Yeah.
like buying shirts on like Printful, like just trying on Gildan Blanks, and
Yeah.
just like nothing, dude. Just trying my best. And then like as I progressed, I was like, thank God, kept trying to work on different stuff,
Right.
finding my own style instead of just like what was popping at the time.
Right.
So what would you say your style is now, or what you're going for the brand? Is it like a vintage look, or is it like something
Yeah,
new?
I would say a vintage look, but like more of like a lived-in look. I think one of the coolest things, like I'm sure, like when you find like a vintage tee, is like it not feeling too crispy, if that makes any
Well, for
sense.
sure, yeah, yeah.
It's like it feels like it's almost something you could sleep in, but you could also go and do whatever and go to a concert and wear that shirt. You could damn near go and work out in it. And I think for me, it's really the feel of that. Like for someone to put on something, it's like so versatile. They could sleep in it. They could wake up and go do whatever in it. I think that's the biggest thing behind like the vintage aspect of it. But also like that grungy feel, focusing on like earth tones and the same color palette. But I'm also inspired by like Western Gothic Victorian architecture. I think that kind of like if I could put that all into the brand, that would kind of be it for the most part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have the pieces here. It's hard to kind of see them, but yes.
Yeah.
For us, it's hard to see them. But yeah, they're fire. I was looking at them
I
earlier.
appreciate
They're
it,
like
bro.
super sick. The quality is so fire.
Yeah.
So tell me about these pieces. What are they kind of speaking to in the brand?
Yeah, I'll start with this one. So I started designing in December of 24. So it's been a little bit over a year now. So interesting story. I had gotten laid off from my corporate position, and luckily enough, my girlfriend, she was right there in my corner, just pushing me to want to do something that, like I mentioned, I'd wanted to do since my sophomore year of high school. So, however many years that is. She was like, "Well, why don't you just try to go after, starting a brand?" So I was like, "Okay." So she kind of taught me the basics of Photoshop, and then I kind of went from there. And this was actually my first design. Originally, it had like a chandelier vibe and everything, graphic on it, and I ended up removing that because it was too similar to some other brands that I like. Um, and then, just kind of started finding manufacturers. Trial and error took about a year to actually get to this point, to this wash and everything. But yeah, I love navy blue. I love a double zip. I think it's super versatile in a sense of like you can, shape it how you want to shape it. If you want to just like be like have it a little bit tighter, you have it all the way zipped up. If you want it to have a little bit of a flare, looser feel to it, you can,
Yeah.
adjust it as you want. But yeah, and you guys can't see the hood, but there's a leather patch on the hood. And I'm really into burgundy right now, especially like maroon, like that type of like color in general, and so there's a maroon leather patch on the side. Um, so yeah, just over time, it just kind of all came together. That was one of them ones where it's like, you know, as time went on, I learned more about the process, learned more about, you know, what fabric, what wash, what works with everything. So that's kind of like my baby. You know, this is the final product after a year of sampling with 3 different manufacturers and
Nightmare.
going overseas, bro. You already know how it goes, you know. So
Such a nightmare.
but yeah, and then for this one, this was just, it's kind of interesting because that one's like obviously one I wanted to make for a while, and then this one was kind of like reacting off of instinct. I was like, I wear thermals all the time, I layer with thermals all the time. I'm like, why not make one?
Yeah.
And so I didn't want it to be like too simple where it's like you could literally go buy the same thermal from H&M or Abercrombie or, you know, just some random brand. So I ended up adding like some marrow stitch to it, kind of giving a vibe like your grandma kind of stitched it, you know, because I have a bunch of blankets that my grandma had made me, and that's kind of where that came from. And then just kind of played around with it, added some stitching all over it, just kind of make it its own thing. So this one came off of instinct, and this one was one I'd been wanting to make for a year. So kind of interesting
fun,
how
bro.
it all came about.
Yeah, I kind of like opening up the design to being like wherever it finds you.
Right.
You know what I mean? You could be inspired by like something your grandma made you, or you know something you're like seeing like in style. Like, damn, I really love double zips, or like like I want to do something like that. You know, for me, I'm always inspired by like I was telling you like album covers, graphics, like band logos. Like I don't know why, it's just my thing. Like this shirt, I'm like inspired the hell by. I love everything like band related for some reasons. That's a lot of my graphic languages and stuff.
Those are the best vintage tees, bro.
Yeah. So tell me about your creative process when you go in to actually do this stuff or work with people. Are you like getting inspired by certain things, or are you just like locking in for like 5 hours at a time?
Yeah.
Spur of the moment.
So it's been interesting, bro. I think I'm still trying to find my creative process because like I grew up playing sports, and one of the things with sports is like you're gonna find out who was training and who wasn't, you know, like that's just, unless somebody just has like raw natural talent, like obviously there's gonna be, you know, there's gonna have that gift, but for the most part you'll find out like who was training, who wasn't. And so when it came to like starting a brand, I wanted to keep like that same mindset, but then I got to a point where it's like low key I was making bullshit, you know, like I think there was a time when you can lock in and get stuff done, and everybody has their own processes, but for me it was like when I would spend too much time like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, set aside 2 hours of my day to do this, I started realizing that I wasn't like freely creating. I was like almost like kind of like being robotic with my process, if that makes sense. So it's one of those things, like as soon as I'm inspired by something, I'll either take a picture of it, I'll, you know, write something down, how it made me feel, I'll put it in my notes app, and then when I have the time to come back around to it, that's when I'll kind of like design with that feeling that I had when I saw whatever it was. So sometimes it could be a vintage, you know, band tee. Sometimes it could be, you know, like I have a tattoo of the Milan Cathedral on my arm, so it could be a cathedral, like something I experienced in person, or even just like a vibe from a movie or something. So it kind of ranges, but yeah, I would say that's kind of my process for the most part.
Yeah, my notes app is like full of so much, bro. Like I'm really inspired by like music. That's what inspires me to create. Like I'll go off a reggae vibe, or like literally I listen to music 24/7. So I always try to think of like, how do I capture that feeling of that song into like a piece or like a campaign or something. I always try to use the music that's up here and kind of like concrete it out. Like what can I make from that, you know? Versus like, oh, it's hard to really translate a piece of music into like clothes. It's very like weird, but like you can make a whole campaign around reggae, or you can make a whole campaign around Bob Marley's style or like Peter Tosh's style. That's kind of where I kind of find myself. But then I'm also really inspired by like quotes or like just random phrases. Like the one I'm inspired by now is contraband for some reason. So I just have the word contraband and I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Yeah. But I'm thinking like contrabrand or like stuff like that, or like personal brand.
It's like a fun play on it or something.
Yeah. I'll tell you, off the camera, I'll tell you about like the actual campaign I'm shooting next. But like using the word contraband is like the main thing of it, you know? Yeah. So like I don't know, I just find myself getting inspired by like so many angles. I would say advice for people at home: if you want to get inspired by stuff, the main way is just kind of like open yourself up to like finding that inspiration. It could be at a bar, it could be falling in love, it could be music, it could be a TV show, it could be Courage of the Cowardly Dog, for all I fucking care. You know? But people are inspired by everything, you know? Yeah. I think if you, to your point, if you have like a robotic process, you have to do it. Like maybe you'll find something good, but like the more you just kind of open yourself up and like leave it there and kind of let it ruminate for a little bit, the sooner you can kind of find like a great design like these pieces. So
I appreciate it.
So what are you trying to achieve with the brand? Is it something that's going to be like e-commerce only? Is it going to be, you know, a statement? Is it going to be Paris, Louis Vuitton kind of level? What's your kind of like hopeful goal for it?
Yeah. I never really had like runway in mind, never bringing it like there. If that opportunity presents itself, then obviously like, I would like to tackle it. But I think definitely e-commerce to start off with. I think um, it's the quickest and easiest way, in all honesty, to start off with. But I want to get into like pop-ups, doing, if somebody has an event or something, having like, my brand there, or just like working with other people. I think like the coolest shit you can do, like when you're starting something, is like working with your homies that are also in the same, space that you're in.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
it's really cool to work with people like, if you have a platform, putting, your friend on who does photography, or putting your friend on who does design, or whatever the case may be. So I really want to be able to like work with my friends and work with people that I meet that are like-minded and have the same path that they're going down and everything. But definitely starting off with just e-commerce, and then getting into maybe getting some events and pop-ups, stuff like that. Maybe doing a pop-up at like a New York Fashion Week. Um, but I wouldn't say like runway's been the biggest thing behind it. I think I want to create like a uniform for people to wear, where it's like you can sit there and say like I have a full fit on from Under the Sun. I think that's some cool shit. Like you created some denim, a shirt, whatever. I think that's pretty cool. So that's definitely something where it's like I want to build like a wardrobe for whatever niche audience that it brings in, that they can damn near have a full wardrobe of Under the Sun. So
Fuck yeah.
yeah,
I like that a lot.
yeah.
Do you have your ideal target customer in mind right now? Like, do you know who it's like for or it's speaking to?
Yeah. Um, I would say it's definitely going to be people. I don't want to like put it into a box or anything, but when I am thinking about who is buying it, I think of, or who's, becoming a part of it and everything, I think of, someone who has, alt music taste, right? Someone who like likes rock music and stuff, someone who's like wearing grungy silver jewelry. Um, People that you'd probably see wearing like a lot of distressing things of that sort. Um, yeah, I would just say like your unique person that you would see on the side of the street. I think that's like the audience I want to get into.
I like that. Yeah. That's kind of my vibe too, honestly, with my brand. It's just like the alternative sides of everything.
Right.
The alternative side of like vinyl spinning, the alternative side of DJing. Like who's
Yeah.
the alternative to it? You know what I mean?
Right.
The people who are, and to your point, people who are like young and trying to be something. Like your boys are trying to put on, like people who do design or do photography, videography. Those are the exact people I want to put on too. So I literally want my brand to be like all of us. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like we could work on something. I can work on something for your brand. Like I can help you with whatever. You can help me
Right.
with whatever. I think that's what people are going towards, is like how can we get people actually up and moving versus
Yeah.
like off the fucking phone.
Exactly. Like community and everything. I think feeling a part of something's like super like major, especially starting out. To have someone feel like that attachment. I always like to use a reference like when you find like an artist and like they have like, let's just say 20K monthly listeners, you're like, oh shit, like I'm early, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like always a cool feeling to like feel that. And then you kind of like grow with that artist, and you like you see them come out, and then like next time you check they have 100K monthly listeners, you're like, oh, I was there before you, or just I feel like that's always something that like I'll always hold, even since like a kid. um and that's like the same vibe I want to give to the person who starts following me now, where compared to someone that starts following 5-10 years later, is like oh, I'm earlier, like they start forming that attachment, and they like feel like they're a part of something
Yeah.
similar to what you're doing and everything. So yeah, I think that's like a really cool aspect of like a brand, and just building that community environment and everything, the whole world in itself.
Yeah. What does the name mean? Under the Sun.
Under the Sun. So the name came from, I was working nights at HEB doing stocking and stuff while I was in college, and this guy I was working with, I had aux that night, and I asked him if he like had any music that he liked, or like anything that he wanted me to play, and he was like, "Oh, listen to everything under the sun." I was like, "Oh shit, I've never heard that, but like I've never heard someone say that before. That was my first time hearing it." But I think it is a saying that like people do say, like, "Oh, everything under the sun," like.
Yeah.
Um, and so I just like went and wrote it down, and I was just sitting there thinking like, how can I make this like my own? So I changed the U in sun to an O, so SON, because I am Christian. Like I do like have my religious values and everything, and I think that kind of put that in there as well. I never wanted to just be considered like a Christian brand, but I did want to have like Easter eggs and stuff of like
Mm-hmm.
my religious beliefs and stuff as I go on, and that's one of them. So yeah, that's kind of how
That's
the
sick.
name came about. Yeah,
That's a
bro.
really cool spin on it. I like that a lot. I didn't know
Yeah,
what it meant either. I was trying to figure it out. I was like, But
yeah,
yeah, no, I fuck with that heavy, dude.
yeah,
I'm
bro.
Catholic too, so I'm like, all about it.
Yeah.
Like, that's sick. It's a cool fucking little spin on it, bro.
I appreciate it, bro.
How did you find yourself in Austin?
In Austin, so it's a crazy story. So I was going to community college back home at Lamar Institute of Technology in Beaumont, and it was in the height of COVID. I was just like, I got to get out of here. Was kind of going through some relationship stuff at that point in time, and I was like, bro, I just got to get out of here. Like, I know I'm meant for more. Just felt like I was putting myself in a box. Was just like, yeah, I just needed to do something. So I ended up moving to San Marcos of all places, and as you can imagine, when you go to San Marcos, a lot of partying. You know, like I still wasn't really chasing what I felt like I was meant to be doing, but I was in San Marcos, living out there in the height of COVID. I lived out there until 2022, 23, I believe. And I just was my roommate at the time was like, I'm moving in with my girl, you know, like him and his girl got a spot. And I was like, well, shit, there's no other place to go but Austin, you know, like what's the nearest city? Like, I don't want to move back to the Houston area. I want to be like in this area. So moved to Austin and was kind of on the outskirts for a little bit. Then just recently, over the last 10 months, moved to like South Lamar area. And yeah, bro, I mean, that's kind of how I found myself getting into the scene and everything. So it just kind of came over time. But yeah.
How do you like Austin?
I love it, man. I would say like being mid 20s, early 20s, even late 20s and early 30s, like it's the perfect place to be in my opinion, because everybody wants to help everybody, you know. I feel like it's very rare you like meet a stranger here. Yeah. You know, it's like so many people are welcoming. Like, let's just say you're starting a brand, for instance, like you'll meet someone and be like, oh, like, bro, I can plug you in with this person, like if you need a manufacturer. Like, I met so many people that have been like welcoming and just like you know, lending a helping hand if I need it. And I think like as a creative, like it's just the place to be right now. I feel like there's so many people that want to help out, and it's just like has that sense of community. It's just finding like your pocket and where you want to, you know, go and what direction you want to be in. So yeah, I love it.
Dude, I found the same thing. Even Ezzy, your model, bro, he told me, I did a runway, and he like said, yo, everyone in Austin is at the starting line, bro.
Yeah.
Everyone just wants to do something with someone else. Like, my recommendation that I always make in all these episodes is like get people involved. Like the sooner you can get your girlfriend just shot your campaign for you. Yeah, bro. You know, the sooner you can get people involved, the sooner you can get like ideas bouncing off people, the sooner like things kind of just start to pick up steam. Like,
right.
You know, like just validating that like idea or something with other people is like so like important. But also like everyone's just down to work. Like my boys who've never picked up a camera, like, yeah, I'll shoot it for you. You know,
yeah.
Like, people just want to work here and for free too. Honestly,
yeah.
No one's really like about like, what can you do for me? Everyone's just like, yeah, sure, I'm down. Like, so everyone just wants something fun to do on the weekends.
They're all like bouncing off of each other and just like wanting to help each other out. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, bro. Because I think when I was first wanted to get into the creative space, I was so like afraid of like, oh, but like, what if they won't accept me, or like, what if like, you know, I can't work with this person. And you just think of like all these different scenarios, right? And it's just been like so welcoming. I don't have any complaints, bro.
Yeah, like literally.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Yeah.
And like, do you see yourself going somewhere else, like New York or LA or out of the country?
Not New York, bro. I can't do those winters, but I could potentially see myself going to LA depending on what scale the brand gets to. I think like I'm doing overseas manufacturing right now, and granted, you know, it is cost efficient for the most part starting out, but there are a lot of hiccups, like, you know, communication. You're working in a total different, you know, time difference and everything there. Like, their response time is at 7, 8 o'clock at night, you know. It's like, and I'm trying to get things done throughout the day, you know. So I think I would like to branch out to where, you know, it becomes American made. I'm getting things done in the States if it's, you know, makes sense cost wise and everything. But if that is the case, if I'm blessed enough to, you know, scale to the you know, place that I want to scale to, I think like LA would make the most sense, because you're right there, like the hub of manufacturing and just being able to connect and get everything made like right then and there. And I think it makes sense in terms of time and everything, turnarounds and stuff. If you're dropping, you know, 8 times a year, like it makes sense to be right there instead of being, you know, a 17-hour flight away. So
literally, bro.
Yeah,
it's a nightmare, bro.
That's the only place I could see myself moving to. But other than that, I don't.
Yeah.
You know.
I like Austin a lot, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll leave. I love it here so much. My hopeful goal is ball out here, open up a store here, like I was telling you, live stream all the designs, like get really people involved like everywhere.
Yeah.
Versus just like community stuff here. Scale it out so I can go to New York, do something there as well, and then hopefully Paris and hopefully stay there.
That's sick.
But then retiring, I want to retire in Amsterdam.
Oh,
Amsterdam
shit.
is the sickest place ever.
I've never been, but I've heard
Bro.
it's like crazy.
It's the best. Everyone there is in love. Everyone with
I'm dead.
everything. With the coffee they make, with the fucking weed, with
I'm dead.
everything, bro. Everyone just loves life there. It's
Yeah.
so nice. I just love Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So that's the hopeful, staircase I'm trying to climb, you know.
Yeah.
But right now it's just getting everyone involved as I humanly can here. And if it ends up working out here and I don't move, I'm stoked with it. Like,
Yeah,
the city's
bro.
great,
I wouldn't be mad if I end up staying here for a while.
Right?
Yeah. I think like retirement though, I could see myself like on like a ranch or something, you know. I've always been obsessed with like paint horses. Like that's like ever since I was a kid, like I've always loved paint horses. So I've always wanted to own a couple when I do retire, and it's like able to sit on my porch, cup of coffee, watching the horses roam around. I think like that's just like
that shit's nice.
Yeah.
What a great life. I would love to do it all. Like Ralph Lauren is like the ultimate goal. He has everything.
I know, bro. He's so sick.
Ralph is my goat. And Virgil too. And Virgil like spent all his time in Paris. So I was like,
yeah,
that's why I might have to do that too. I love Paris when I went to. Paris is like night and day, bro.
I know.
Everyone there is on, bro. That's the thing. I like a city where everyone's on.
Yeah.
Like in this creative scene here, everyone's kind of like trying to do something, trying to start that first fire. In Paris, everyone's just like on. Like people are just busy, you know.
Yeah. Which
is kind of cool, but Amsterdam is the opposite. Everyone's kind of like relaxed and already made it, or like they're just having a good time, you know. So I kind of like having that mix of both.
Not as fast paced and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I love it. So when we're talking about like starting a brand, you know, for the people at home, what you said it took you a year to kind of figure out this whole thing.
Yeah.
Where did you kind of start in your process? Did you try to learn how to design first? Did you try to just start the name first? Like, where did you kind of figure out like this is what we're starting?
Yeah. It definitely came with the name first, and then I let the name sit for like made the brand account, and for like 3 years I would just drop Easter eggs, and without dropping anything, I was blessed enough to build it. I mean, it's not like a following of like a crazy amount, but the page does have around 500 right now followers, and I would drop Easter eggs and people would just kind of follow, support, friends and everything, family and stuff like that. So I really started with the name, sat for like 3 years, and then started learning how to design in December of 2024. And then after that, like I already had probably, I don't even know, like a whole photo album filled and all these different things of references that I wanted to use at some point to, create the brand that I wanted to make. And so it's like I already had that, I already had the things I was, inspired by and everything there. Then it just was about acting on it. Yeah. So once I got into, starting to learn how to design, I started playing around with stuff, and then it just all kind of came around as time went on. So I say it would start with, name, and then design, and then finally, putting money into it, trying to see things come to life. So that was my process.
What was the big screw-ups you've had in that process?
The big screw-ups I had?
Because everyone has some.
Yeah. I'm pointing at the camera. Never work with a middleman. So I started out working with like a middleman, somebody who was like, oh, bro, I know the ins and outs. I can help you out. Like, I'll just take a cut. And it was the biggest, like, at first I was like, oh, okay, this is really helpful for me because I'm not very knowledgeable of, like, how to talk to a manufacturer. I'm not very knowledgeable about that stuff. But it's like, in all honesty, with brand and everything, with creating this, like, you have to just go head first with that. Like, you can look up reference videos. You can write down questions to ask, and I think that's great because I did that as well. But you have to just go head first. Like, there's no other way to learn besides going head first, and you can be mindful about the way you approach it. But I try to go about it by going with a middleman, and he just, product didn't come out how I wanted it to. Literally took me like almost 5 months to get my first sample, which is like crazy. Like, never wait 5 months for a sample. But yeah, I went with the middleman, and then I was like, yeah, fuck that. I'm not doing that anymore. And then ended up getting put on with one manufacturer. That one didn't necessarily work out. I just didn't like the quality it was, and then I found this one, and they've been good to me, but at the same time, they're in China. You have to work around their holidays. Right now it's Chinese New Year and everything, so they're literally off for a whole month.
That's wild.
Yeah, I would say, definitely do your research and everything. Don't, just go in blindly. I mean, you can go into Alibaba and find manufacturers and just check out their ratings and shit, but when it comes to just talking with them, creating that partnership and everything, I think like you have to just go in head first. You can't like have somebody else do it for you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think unfortunately the truth is you just have to fuck up.
Yeah, bro.
Like
That's like you're gonna, and it sounds shitty because like starting out, unless you have investors or something, which is kind of unheard of, but starting out you're using your own money,
yeah.
and some of that money will probably go to waste, but you can't really look at it like that because you're going to make it back at some point. You just got to continue to, have your head on right, continue to push forward, continue to have faith in what you're building, and know that like those losses at the beginning are going to help you down the line with, winning and getting to where you want to get. So yeah, it is a lot of trial and error. It is, some lost money at the beginning, but I think it's all worth it in the end once you're able to see things come about and like see the world that you're creating and kind of get that feedback from those around you. So yeah,
that's honestly the greatest thing. Once you get like a supplier box,
right now
you're like, please God,
yeah, bro,
please be fire.
Yeah,
and then they do come out fire. You're like,
yes,
it's
yeah,
like you hit like the winning number on roulette.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
It's the sickest feeling.
Yeah, ever. It's an insane feeling, bro.
Yeah. So would you recommend people who are starting brands try to learn like ins and outs of Photoshop, or is it like, try to put like, what would you kind of go from there?
I would say just look at like almost like look in the mirror first in a sense, because like look at like what you like and what you're inspired by. I think so many times it's so easy to like compare or want to be like someone else or want to be like this brand, or like it's cool to look at those brands and be like I want to be in competition with them. Yeah. I think it's like for me there are brands that I look at and I'm like, okay, I want to get to the same scale that they're at and I want to be in competition with them, but I don't want to be like a copy and paste version of them. You know what I'm saying? So I think initially it's just finding out like what you like, what you want to make, looking at your wardrobe and, just putting it out there, not just being like, oh, I saw this dude make this, like, so I'm going to make it too. And it's going to pop off just like him. Like everybody's process is different, and everybody gets different outcomes and everything. So I would say just look at, what you like and everything, what you're inspired by, kind of build your world first and kind of like build those references, whatever it is that you're, referencing or, creatively inspired by, and then, start working with Photoshop and stuff, and then start kind of like branching out into that and everything. So that's how I would go about it. That's how I did it at least. Yeah. But, yeah.
I would say for the people at home, this is a good tip I just thought of when we were talking about that is like, you may look at another brand and say like, oh my God, they have 50,000 followers. How do they do it? They only have like 10 posts. So what the fuck? Like, don't forget that you can delete posts, bro. Like, people may have been trash. They may have been working on this shit for years. Yeah. And it could have been complete garbo for like 5 or 6 years. And they finally hit one good product. And then it's like they boomed and then they deleted it. And made it look like they're perfect. You know? Like, that's a huge like fallacy with it. Like, you may look at like a company that has 5 posts, 500,000 followers. Like, bro, what?
Yeah, there's no way.
These guys had to be crushing. Like, they have the best designs ever. Like, and it kind of puts them in a weird frame where, like, you may even, if you don't even know they had followers, if you just put your hand over like, how many followers they have and you look at their designs for their designs, they could be shitty. Yeah. It's just that weird connotation of, like, followers equals success in a weird way because we are pretty much in competition with everyone. Right. You know what I mean? Another point I'll make is that the word competition is crazy because, like, I feel like, yeah, there's competition like a basketball game where there's an end goal. But, man, everyone's goal is so different in fashion. Like, my goal is to open up a store and, like, hopefully stay local and be, like, a really huge force in Austin. Whereas yours may be to pop off and go international. And, like, so many people, we have the same medium, right? Clothes. But we may have, like, completely different goals. And, like, followers might not even equate to the goal. You may be so happy making 20 G's a month and just ripping stores all over Texas. You know what I mean? Versus like I want to be a millionaire and I got to just like leave and go to Paris. Like, everyone has different goals. So don't get caught up in that shit. I'd say try to keep it as like you as possible. Yeah. Don't get discouraged by like I was 500,000 followers in 2 posts. You know what I mean? Like it may have taken a lot of grinding to get there. Or they may even bought the followers.
Years, bro. And I'm glad you brought that up because I kind of hit a point in my creative process where I was like starting to, run into errors with manufacturing and shit like that. And I'm like, maybe I'm just not meant for this. I think everybody has like a process where it's like things are going great. Then you hit a roadblock and you're like, what the fuck's going on? It's like, I think there's like a meme or like a graph of that.
Valley of despair.
Yeah, bro. And I always think about that when I end up hitting a hiccup. It's like, it's part of the process. It's supposed to happen. You're going to learn from it. Then you just got to bounce back and, pick up what you learned the last time you hit that roadblock and everything. But I hit one and it was like probably in December of this year going into January. So, here recently, And I was just like, bro, like, am I even meant to have a clothing brand? Like, I feel like there's so many brands out there, like, you know, why would they want to buy mine? You know, and I just started getting in my head and shit. And my girlfriend, you know, picked me up, basically wrote me a card and everything, and told me, she was like, uh, you know, the world deserves to see your art, you know? And like, to me, it's like, you can get so caught up in looking at these other brands and looking at what they did and the numbers that they did and how their drops sell out in 24 hours. But in reality, like, comparison's a thief of joy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you really have to sit there and work on your craft and just know that your time's gonna come. Like, I don't think there's ever been a brand, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, there's probably been some, but like, their first drop just immediately sold out in 24 hours. You know, it's very unheard of unless you're like a celebrity, you already have a platform, all that stuff. But comparison's a thief of joy, especially starting out. Like, you really have to make sure you're obviously being influenced and, you know, have that competitive nature, I guess, in a sense of like, you see somebody else winning, you're like, okay, I want to win too. But also making sure that you're not getting too caught up in their numbers compared to what your numbers are at the start. So
I think, and this is a question I'll pose to you, how do you feel about goals?
Yeah.
But what I think is like, and this is a through line that I'm getting a lot of these conversations, is like, goals are just not like that important. Because like, man, you may have this lofty goal of being a millionaire, like your brand is selling out every drop,
right?
But you may not realize that you're so happy just building a store here,
exactly,
just, like, having like a sick vintage store, and that's and you're so happy doing that, you know. So like, everyone of course have these amazing goals. I want to be the next Virgil. That's literally my goal. Like, I could be so happy just doing like this, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there's so many staircases philosophically that your brand could go up. It could be like international. It could be just staying local, being a local hero. You know what I mean? Being like imagine you're amazing at manufacturing and you're really good at talking overseas, and you could just sell things like that or help other brands scale.
Or even like make a warehouse in a sense.
Yeah, like there's so many different paths that your brand can go down, and I think once you start, the more you kind of go through those valleys of despair, like those weird hiccups, like those, damn it, should I do this, should I not do it?
Yeah.
The more you'll kind of figure out, like, this staircase isn't for me, you know what I mean? This one is. I really enjoy this process of it, you know what I mean? I love doing campaigns, and like, that's my thing. I love campaigns. So maybe end up being a creative director for other brands, like, that could be one, you know?
Yeah.
But as long as you like open yourself up to those things, like, you may not even understand how many jobs there are in fashion or like anything creative. Like, the more you put yourself out there and start like trying with your brand, the sooner you'll figure out that didn't work. I'm gonna stop doing that. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna like get through those valleys of despair, you know.
Yeah.
But it really is super important to not get discouraged, because man, that sewing machine is broken right behind the camera.
Yeah.
That sewing machine is broken. I'll show you later. I still sew at that thing every day. Like, I've broken 4 at this point.
That's crazy.
And like, I don't care. I'll just keep breaking them until like it works. You know. Like, when I first lost my sewing machine, I couldn't believe it. I was so mad. I was like, this is over. It's over.
Yeah.
I have a camcorder over there. That's my second one. My first one broke. I had to try repairing the whole thing by itself. 8 hours I spent on my Saturday night.
Oh no.
It's like 3 a.m. trying to repair it, and I snapped the power cable right at the end of it.
No.
I was like putting it back together. I was like, I can't believe this. This is unbelievable. I was so mad.
Oh, it would have been.
And
heated.
I had no money, so I couldn't buy another camera. But even then, I was so pissed. Like, you know what? I'm buying another camera. I don't care.
Yeah.
I should go in debt and like, buy another camera.
Exactly.
Like, there's so many valleys of despair. It's like, as long as you want it, like, you'll get through them. You know.
Yeah.
I think it is like God testing you.
It is, bro.
Where it's like, how bad do you want it, bro?
Yeah. There's been so many times where like I felt that way, where it's like, I'm supposed to go through this.
Yeah.
And not gonna lie, the best thing for me in those times is just going for a walk, no phone, no music, no nothing. And, you know, since I am religious, I do practice, you know, prayer and everything. And, you know, in those moments, I'll literally go and just pray and just talk to him and just ask for guidance. And it's so crazy. Like, I'm not saying like he's just always going to come out and just like, you know, show you the other side right then and there. But like in my experience, it's like, I'll go and just have that moment connecting with him, just bringing it all to him, kind of surrendering it to him. And then, you know, within a week, it's just like things turn around so quickly.
Yeah.
So I think for me, just being able to just go on a walk, clear my head, just step away from something for a little bit, instead of just being in that room of like feeling that emotion and everything, and just, you know, having some faith in something and going and, you know, just having that talk and just clearing my head, I think has worked out so much.
Yeah.
And
honestly,
so many times for me, bro.
I go on walks a lot now.
Yeah.
It's nice. And I try to not listen to music. Sometimes I'll do, but like,
the art of going on a walk, bro, does so much for you mentally, you know.
Yeah, that's like the new cigarette. It's
like
a new cigarette and with a coffee. It's like just go on a walk.
Literally, bro.
That's what'll clear your head.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about like fuck ups and stuff like that. Where have you found a lot of success in getting things done? Like, what was the one where you're like, you know, was it getting him a better tech pack? You know what I mean? Was it better communication? What were kind of like the big things that helped you kind of get through, like, to get to the final product?
Yeah. I think it was realizing that, like, you don't have to do everything yourself, and you can, and it's like, I think it's good if you do, but it gets to a point where you might be overloading yourself and kind of losing sight of where you wanted to go originally, because you're doing, website one day and then working and designing clothes this day, but also working on XYZ. And granted, some people have the mental capacity to do that. For me personally, I was like, I don't have the mental capacity to do everything all at once. So like realizing that I can, allocate certain things for people that trust to do as well. So I realized I was working on graphic design, but I wasn't where I wanted to be, or at the, where I wasn't matching up with what the quality that I want to be putting out was at. And so I ended up coming in contact with a graphic designer and having her, kind of put my vision out there. So that was something in the beginning where it's like I wanted to do it all myself, and realizing like, I can work on this on the side, and maybe there is a time where the timelines align with like where the brand is at and where my skills are as a graphic designer. But right now, I think with where I'm at, it's okay to allocate this skill to someone else that is technically a professional at it, So I think that's something, starting out, that I learned that really helped me with getting over the hump with certain things as well, because she was also able to, speak a design language with the manufacturer that was easier for them to understand when it came to a tech pack. Like, bro, my first tech pack was 17 pages long. There's no reason, unless you're creating like a super crazy piece, like 17 pages is kind of crazy. Like, that's a little bit overwhelming for a manufacturer, and I didn't realize that. And her tech pack is 2 pages, and it was like, everything that they needed all in one. And they're like, no fuck ups or anything. Like, they got it done first try. And I'm like, okay, like I should have been doing this, a year ago. But I mean, granted, if you have someone that does graphic design and you can get it done for free or for a cheap cost, like, do that. Unfortunately, I had to find someone that did cost a little bit to pay for online, but yeah, just kind of allocating that to someone else.
Yeah, 100%. My buddy just got a tech pack in. He paid like a graphic designer. It is like a 17-page, but it's like a Bible. This thing. It is like the most perfect dimensions, the most perfect cuts, the most every layout, the rise, the inseam. He's making pants and stuff, bro. Like, I saw it, I was literally like, this is amazing. This is like art that I don't have any knowledge in. Yeah. Does this happen to you? So I don't know if this is just a me thing or like a designer thing, a normal thing. I, for some reason, get discouraged when I see designers like at a super high level, like doing something I'm like runway stuff. Like, I've done runways before, but like I see some people, I'm like, oh my God, how are they that insane? Yeah. Like, do you get encouraged when you see like amazing pieces? Or like, for me, it's like, I'm like, damn, will I ever get there? Because like these people are like legit experts in it. Yeah. Something I always keep telling myself is like, they work with other people. Like, there's so many people out on this project. It's like that dress took like 10 people. Yeah, that's the reason they're the creative director, like they probably had a sketch and then. Yeah, and those people who just do draping, those people who just do sewing, those people who just do like fabric research, like, man. But I look at it sometimes, I'm like, dude, there's a level of this that is like almost impossible. And I just don't take it to get discouraged when I'm like, oh my God, how do you feel about stuff like that? I'm just like insane pieces. I feel like with runway, it can kind of be like, let's just say for Gucci, for example, like Demna just went to Gucci, like their shit looks insane, bro. First off, Demna's crazy, bro. Demna's the best. Yeah. They got fake mink and that's. Yeah, bro. Like he just knows how to do it, bro. But I think when you're looking at stuff like that, there's a difference in like runway like pieces that like obviously you can functionally wear, and other ones that are more so like art pieces. So when I look at a piece that like, is like, how did they do this and everything, like I look at that as more so like a form of art. Yeah. And every artist has their, their process and where they've came from, all the stages that they've gone through and everything. And you got to think majority of those people, I mean, some of these people are young and everything, but like that's just where they're at with their art process. That's a lot of, knowledge that they have, a lot of experiences, a lot of trial and error working with this fabric. Oh, this fabric folds this way, this one doesn't. This one flows this way, this one doesn't. And so I kind of look at it as like, things will come a time, granted, sometimes I think it's easy to look at and be like, I'm not where I want to be, but like there's beauty in that, bro. There's beauty in the process. There's beauty in like going through all these things and meeting the people that you meet. And so I'm like, one day like that will be where I'm at, if that's the route that I want to take. But I don't necessarily get discouraged by it. If anything is motivating, that like they probably stuck with something that like they might have felt like they were outside the box, or might have felt like, me or you when we first started out, or someone that's watching that first started out, where it's like you might not feel like you belong, but they stuck with it.
regardless of any hate or criticism they received. And this is the product that comes out of that. This is something where it's like, it makes an impression on me, and you're like, holy shit, like, how did they do that?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and it's literally a piece that should be hung up in a museum, like an art museum, you know. So I kind of look at it from that lens.
Yeah.
But
I always think of it like that too, where it's like, this shit is a museum. Like, this is like, I'm watching like legit art walkthrough. Like, it's
exactly
fucking crazy. And you'll never see that on the street, but like, I'm always looking around, always like, oh my god, there's a level to this that is just like, out of this fucking world.
Yeah.
It's like
I was literally,
a video game, you're level 1, and then like level 200, you're like, how the amount of hours that must have gone into that character, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The amount of hours that must have gone into this thing. But I think what grounds me is like, knowing that like a team is responsible for that. Usually it's not one person. If it is, they're a genius usually. But
right.
Like, most times there's a drape expert, there's a pattern expert, there's everything. You know what I mean? There's like sketch artists who are like bouncing things off each other. And that's the point I want to get to in my brand, at least. And that's my goal, is to get a team of people.
Yeah.
Right now I have like 4 or 5 people who help me with everything.
That's
like,
sick.
I want it to be like 30 people who are all like just down for the cause, like just working on anything we could think of, because I think that's where like beauty comes.
Right.
I rarely, if ever, think one designer is responsible for all the amazing stuff they make, like in a weird way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like they definitely have a team, and also like being influenced by those around you as well.
Yeah.
You know.
And even if the artist or like the designer is like doing it all themselves, usually they have a team, metaphorically, like their partner or like their parents or like their friends, that they'll go to for
at least some support group,
something, you know, to bounce an idea off of. Unless the sooner you can get anyone involved, like, to help you with this shit is like, it's so, I don't know about how you feel about it, but like, man, people are like the biggest thing for me ever, because I can like, I'm designing, I'm sewing, I'm doing all this stuff for like 8 hours, and like it's this echo chamber of like, oh, it's not good enough, or like, oh, it's like, well, people like
and then you get somebody else's point of view and like, bro, this is sick, like, what do you mean?
Literally, like, all those doubts and those fears I think are really mental, and the sooner you can get people to like not validate you for like validation's sake, but like give you that breath of like, okay, I am doing the right thing, I should keep going, because that valley of despair where you're like, I've done all this stuff, what do I have to show for it, you know? I think it's really cool to have people who are like in your corner, even if it's like your mom, dude. Like, I talk to my mom every day about it, you know, like literally, like, there's so many things that are better. Like, art is meant to be enjoyed. Even if you're not selling it yet, if you're designing something as good as these, you know, share them with someone you know, and see what like the feedback is. You know? And I like feedback. I love people telling me it's shit, so I can be like, perfect. I know, I'm like, I can do more. You know,
it's all about the experience, like, bro.
You know, I can take that breath and be like, wow, okay, there is something here.
Yeah.
And that little spark of like, all right, I'm on the right path, is like continues you on. Like, it's such a high.
Exactly.
For me at least.
To be able to have like that confidence boost and everything. Yeah, I would say finding like community is really key starting out as well, because it's so easy to be in your head, be alone, and just feel like there's nobody there. Because like when I'd started out, like I was kind of like in a shell. I really didn't start meeting people in Austin until May of this past year, and that was mostly my fault, because I was working a remote job, and with that came like, I really hadn't, my social life and my work life like blended, because like I worked from my room. Like I just started kind of becoming like numb to like picking up overtime hours, and realizing like I was sacrificing weekends, connection, meeting with people outside of my apartment complex. Like I wasn't going anywhere, bro, if I'm being honest. And so when I was laid off and everything in December, like I'd mentioned, like I was still kind of taking my time with getting around to people. I started going to church and meeting people through church and everything. And then it was like, I remember sitting at the pool with my girlfriend talking about like, you know, when did she start meeting her like creative friends? Because she's older than me. So we have a bit of an age gap between us. And so she was telling me like, oh, I was like, you know, 25 when I started meeting those friends and everything. And I was like, okay. So like that night I remember like praying and everything for it, and like just praying that like God would kind of like show me community and everything. And bro, within like a few, or I think that was in like April, within like a month or so of, you know, just constantly praying that, like went to an event, met friends and everything, met like, you know, a bunch of people that are in that community, and just like gradually they introduced me to someone else. I met this person. It's just like over the course of a year now, it's like I was so in my head about things, but then getting people's feedback like, bro, that's sick, was like such a motivator to keep going, of like, okay, I'm where I'm supposed to be. And so I think that's so key, especially when you're starting out, is just like being able to have like a different point of view, and not just being so caught up in your own, to like, you know, kind of keep you in line with where you want to go. Yeah, I agree. I think, again, metaphorically, I always look at things like a staircase. Like, there's so many different paths you can go with photography, videography, fashion designing. You know what I mean? You can go the couture route. You can go the e-commerce route. You can go the physical store route. Vintage. You can go anything. There's so many different paths.
And I think those things start to like unveil themselves to you as you surrender, like whether it be religiously, like I'm religious, you know, and I think maybe that helps a lot, helps me a lot. But also people, man, like people can help you kind of guide and not change your vision. Like your vision can still stay the same. It's just like that kind of like respite of like, okay, I should do this,
Right.
you know, because there are so many fucking pitfalls. Like you get a sample and you're like, you spend $150 on it. It gets to you a month later and it's shit. And you're like,
Yeah.
well, great, I'm back at zero. You know,
Yeah.
like, that's happened to me so many times where you're like, damn it. You know, I've been 3 hours deep in sewing a pair of jeans and the sewing machine breaks. I'm like, oh my God, bro. You know,
Yeah.
I just
Those are sign to walk away. Just
Dude,
take a walk, bro.
it's actually, that's actually really interesting. I've had so many signs that I should walk away and I've still stuck it out.
Yeah.
Like, I had one time I filmed an entire campaign. Me and my buddy, like on Premiere, I clipped everything. I got CapCut on my phone. I edited all the things. I had like a month's worth of posts ready to go crazy. And then my phone broke. And like I lost everything. I didn't have iCloud.
That's insane.
It like, my phone went over the storage limit by itself.
Oh, shit.
And it like corrupted the phone and everything went black. And I still have that broken phone in my room somewhere. I like, was so pissed. I couldn't believe it. I got locked. And then I got locked out of my Instagram for 2 months.
Oh, that's insane.
And I had 2-factor authentication to that phone. Dude, like I had so many excuses to quit or like to stop, and I would just no. Like like,
that's insane,
not.
bro.
Yeah, and I think that grit shows in a lot of the things. Like the reason I have like people who are down like for anything. Like I started posting on TikTok like 2 months ago. I have like 2,000 followers, and like it's nothing, but it's like, bro, people are fucking with it because like I put in those fucking hours. Where
Being
no one's
consistent
looking,
and everything as well.
You know? And yeah, so I'd say find the balance between people too. Don't be like people hungry, where it's like I want validation, but like, you know, work on something long enough, and then to be honest, art's meant to be enjoyed, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you can make these sick pieces, but if they're never like shown anywhere, like, did you even try? Like, you know what I mean? I think
the goal is to experience, bro.
Yeah, like you should let people experience your art, like your girlfriend told you, you know.
Yeah.
The world needs to see your art.
Yeah.
And no matter, in my opinion, no matter at what stage, like if you're happy with something, if you're happy with it, just put it out, see what happens.
Yeah.
Because you'll know, like through a campaign, like you know, I could have done this better. That's not the way I want to go. And you'll kind of find your angle, you'll find your mood board, you'll find everything. Just doing it, you know. And that really is kind of like the big lesson is just fucking do it, you know.
Yeah.
So in closing, we're coming close to the hour here. If you know you're starting again, just to kind of sum it all up, where would someone go to start? What do you think is like where they start and where they should go immediately if they're starting today?
They're starting today.
Yeah.
Well, you have to have an idea of what you want. So whatever it is that you get influenced by, whether you go to Pinterest and see a cool outfit and want to recreate that outfit, or whether it's Instagram, I would say first start off with putting together a like an album or some pins together of things that you want to use as reference and everything. Once you can kind of build up your taste and, you know, you're content with your taste and your wardrobe and everything that you've kind of like curated yourself, I think go to Photoshop. I was blessed enough to have a free membership handed to me.
That's the best.
Sometimes, you know, Photoshop, you know, it's just expensive. So there's other resources out there. I think you don't use Photoshop, right?
I do everything on my phone.
Yeah. So there's ways to do it, but there's really no excuse. So, you know, then start drawing, sketching. Once you kind of find something you like, then start finding ways to get that onto a computer or a phone screen, whatever the case may be. And, once you kind of work on all that, get everything, you know, I guess that technically speaking done, then go to finding a manufacturer and making sure that you're sourcing through reviews and working with a trusted one, asking the right questions, and then kind of going from there.
Yeah, fuck yeah. So when are these pieces dropping?
These are dropping March 13th.
Perfect. I think this podcast will come out right before that. So
yeah,
perfect timing.
Yeah.
They're unreal quality. They're sick. Like he actually put in a year to get this right. This is like like real level shit. This is not like, no bullshit. This is sick. But yeah, I appreciate it. Where can the people find you online?
All my socials are omakase, like if you're eating at a sushi place, but just replace the ASE with a ZAY. And the brand is Undrtheson, UNDRTHESON.
Hell yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, I appreciate it, my brother.
Yes,
Thank
sir,
you so
bro.
much.
Appreciate
And
you.
That's it. Thank you for tuning in
Yes,
to
sir.
Conversations with the New Renaissance.
Thank you, guys.
That's it. Pretty easy, huh?
Go, bro.